So, or is this somebody in a school?
Let's say in a school, just because we tend to have more
Okay.
in schools.
Yeah. So, I mean, once you decide where it is you're going to go, and again, I always like to explain this process too, that you get a say in where you want to go. And then you're actually going to be interviewing with the school. It's not like if you say, I want to go here, that it's a guarantee. I mean, this is like a job, like any other job. So you'll want to really do your best in showcasing what it is that you have to offer to these facilities and schools, because they also want to make sure that they're getting the right fit. So if you interview and offer the position, you're going to show up, you're going to do whatever you would do if you were a permanent employee. There's going to be probably some sort of orientation where they'll get you set up with where everything is in the building, who your point of contacts are, where your room will be, how you're going to do your IEPs. So it really won't look that much different than if you're a permanent employee. As a matter of fact, that first job I did after the hospitals, I was moving, and a contract company actually called me, and I was like, what? Oh, yeah. And they actually had a job in the exact area that I was moving to. So I worked with them, and I was a contractor amongst mostly permanent employees, but you would never have known. I mean, anytime I told somebody, they're like, oh, you don't work directly for the school. Looking at our day-to-day responsibilities, in no way, shape, or form was I excluded or treated. I mean, again, people had no clue that I wasn't. And so you'll proceed just as you would if you were a permanent employee. I always say too, you're going to be doing a lot of, in the beginning, the first few weeks is going to be a lot of finding out who you're going to be serving, meeting teachers, scheduling, getting your planning, what the year is going to look like as far as finding out how are the IEPs scheduled, who does that. You'll want to really make sure during that time that you're meeting your other team members, introduce yourself to especially the special ed team, your school psychologist, if there's an OT, if there's a social worker, special education teacher, any of those, because you're going to work really closely with them, but also introducing yourself to all the general ed teachers, because you want them to know who you are. I remember this one school is that she goes, hey, speech lady. And I'm like, oh, I should have introduced I was like, who? Well, me? Oh, okay. I was like, well, that's a new one. So definitely introduce yourself so you're not the speech lady.
Yeah.
And just so that they know, here's who I am. Here's, where my office is going to be, because these are relationships that are going to be really important throughout the school year. And the more that you know them and they know you, it just sets you up for success from the beginning. But you're going to just be doing, depending on what your caseload is, you're going to be seeing individual, small groups. You may be doing push-in where you're actually going into the classrooms and working with them. And what that looks like will depend on what the populations are, if it's a self-contained classroom, or if it's like I used to do push-in all the time in the early childhood classrooms and do large group activities, because it was just really fun to work with them as a group, but also I had so many of them on my caseload that I almost had to. And you'll see students, you'll do assessments, you'll attend IEP meetings, you'll attend, oftentimes there'll be staff meetings you'll be part of. You may go to more than one school. It depends. I've always had at least 2 schools. But most of the time they're also within decent driving distance. Okay. And then you're gonna have a supervisor that's gonna be a part of that whole 36-week process where you're going to be meeting with them on a regular basis. So that's going to be, you're going to want to build in time for that as well, because they're going to be observing you. You're going to be meeting with them. So that'll also be an important relationship. But yeah, you'll fit in as if you're a permanent employee, and nobody will know unless you tell them.
Yeah.